that's not
The
nice.
babies have long left the nest. They're out and about with mom in the tree now. They probably won't nest there until next year because the same pair don't tend to use the nest twice when it comes to wrens. Hi, it is Robbie from Southern California, and it is June 1st, the month of my birthday. Oh my goodness, you know what? I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. I got up this morning and it was raining. Didn't expect that, but that's okay. Look at the wood chips. They're nice and damp. And that is just going to make this to work perfect for Gary. Let's walk over here because I'm not sure how much you're going to actually see going on except for new growth in 2 weeks. And yes, we are still in the 50s at night. So a lot of my squash and different plants I planted are not growing. Nothing here is growing. This is the turmeric table. And I'm not sure if I'm going to move it when I get to it, but I keep checking. I did find some turmeric somewhere growing, which was surprising, and that is on my deck. It's actually the skin. You've probably seen that video where I can take turmeric and just take a little bit of the skin, and the skin grows. So you can eat your turmeric and grow it too. That's the only thing growing, and it was surprising. I have not gotten to this yet, so we're just going to keep on walking. It looks exactly the same. I planted this zucchini out here. This is one I picked up at the 99-cent store. See how sad it looks? It's just, we're too damp. So unless I tricked it, it's not going to really grow. A lot of stuff growing in here is from last year. The brassicas, the garlic chives, the walking onions, uh, more garlic chives, and then red vein sorrel, and that's growing all through there. I even have a strawberry plant. That's a seascape back there. So I'll have to get to this soon. And celery, and then of course my geraniums. Just in case you hear a bunch of noise, they're still working on the big yellow house, and they got an alarm system that goes off 24/7 now. Yes. I don't know. Anyways, here is this that Gary built. I've been using this. It's like a microgreen. It is fantastic. That is all Swiss chard growing from the truck bed. Look at all the seeds that it's developing. And then now I've got all my fig leaf gourd. We're going to have to walk through here quick. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is really loud. They're building a giant cement wall, and well, it just seems like it's nonstop. Now here, I'm not sure if I'll get to the ponds this year, but I am going to try. I don't know if the raccoons are still coming through and taking baths, and that's why I had to stop. Because last year, they're right up there. You probably can hear them. They would come in here and bathe and killed all my plants that were in the pond, and I had to have Gary take the rest of them out and put them in his because he doesn't have the raccoons in his yard. So we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, look at all the walking onions I have growing in the cement blocks. Are they not beautiful? Is that not gorgeous? And then, of course, this is my pomegranate tree I planted from seed, and there's the bathtub back there all covered over. I mean, we're going to have a lot of dragonflies coming out. We know that. They'll be coming out soon. This is my little meadow, and yes, the rabbits do hide out in there. This is very nice. I mean, they love it. This is their favorite place during the day to forage and hang out. Look at all my forget-me-nots. One plant, if you remember last year, came up and it dropped all its seeds, and we've been moving them. Gary's been putting them in his garden. I've been putting them in my bird garden. Look at, there's one. So when we find them, especially if they're out in the open, we move them. So here I haven't done anything yet. I'm not sure how much I'm going to plant here or what I'm going to plant here. I'm thinking something like cucumbers, maybe tomatoes. Now, it's so open here, and with them working, I actually think they're driving a lot of the wildlife from up there down to me because we've had such an abundance of ground squirrels, and they will get in there and eat squash plants. And this is open, so they'll come down, hide there, come in and eat, tear everything apart, and then go back up. The only things that they don't really eat, ground squirrels, so to plant on the top there would be tomatoes. They're not real big on them, yet they ate all the tomatoes off of that. But I can control the tomatoes. It's the tomatoes that ground squirrels eat, not the plant. When it comes to squash, ground squirrels like to taste the squash and they'll eat the plant. They'll literally just cut it in half and then eat some of the leaves. So that's why I'm thinking about it. The other thing I could put here are peppers. But peppers in the summer want a little bit of shade. So I might do something like that. Put peppers in a pot with tomatoes going along here. And then I've got other places I'll put squash. And this is an old potato plant I never dug up. And is there potatoes in there? I forgot to come through here and check. There probably is. Let's see. Let's pull this. Come back later. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. You know, I should check this. Harvest that because I really don't want to leave it there. I'd like to do something else in there. So I got potatoes growing in there. I'm going to do potatoes in buckets. Now, of course, if you had a really nice place, look how beautiful the Swiss chard is, in the ground or a large bed, then yes, you could go ahead and plant it in the ground or a really large bed. But with me, I want to be able to harvest something easy. I can pick that up, tip it, take out the potatoes, put everything back and plant again. And they may not be as big. I mean, they'll be bigger if you put them in the large bed, but it's just too hard to harvest. This way I constantly harvest. So here I haven't done anything because I'm debating on how much I'm going to change. I'm not sure yet. So I'm doing one step at a time, but you'll see what I have done. Now here, I've been getting all my buckets ready. I haven't planted in it yet, but this is going to all be potatoes. So this is going to be nice. And Gary wants to bring in wood chips for his garden. So that's why I'm thinking, what am I going to move here? He's telling me when the big truck comes in, it makes the turn. See the top of the roof up there? Okay, so it's got to make a turn. And when it turns, it comes this way, and they have to move some of this stuff. So if I move these totes and find a better place for them, up to around here, what I can do is line this all, if I want to continue to grow here, with buckets. I can have them a little further apart, something that can be lifted and moved, because they only come once in a while. It might only come once. And then it can be put back. The totes are harder to move. I mean, I don't know how often he'll do it. He might get a few loads in. See, there's the house with all their glory of noise, 24 hours a day. And that's not a joke. It's 24 hours a day because that alarm goes off all night. If it sees a moth, it goes off. So anyways, let's just try to get out of here. Hopefully, I'm hoping they're going to get that wall done and everything in the next month or two. I don't mind, progress. I understand things have to be built, but 5 years, 6 years? Anyways, so I'm going to see what I'm going to do here and then find out exactly where the truck needs space to turn, and then I can put back some of the totes and then continue on my buckets. Even in buckets, peppers grow good. So I could have peppers and potatoes growing here. So, oh no, I mean, I still have plenty of stuff. I've got sorrel, there's green sorrel there, red vein sorrel. I've been leaving a lot of this as long as I can for the rabbits. We've got baby rabbits and everything here, and they feed on a lot of this grass. So that's why I've been leaving it. Look, I've got purslane down here. And I've got purslane there. And then here, I'll probably get lettuce. I've got carrots growing through here. I've got oregano. This big thing is oregano, which really loves it. So I should get more oregano. I don't use a ton, so I don't need a ton of plants, but I could do some more cuttings there. Again, leaving all this for the birds, the rabbits, until I have to move it. Mint. This is seeds from the mustard plant. There's a mustard plant that grew in the rocks, which is amazing. And then the walking onions. Now, walking onions obviously like it here. So I could get more walking onions, but I'm really thinking of places I can grow a lot of lettuce. That's what I like. Now, here I did clean up, and I'm ready to put some cabbage out here until our weather changes. And then this I left because I've been using the green Swiss chard. I really like it. And then I'm going to leave the celery. So I'm working on that. So this I'm going to leave. So it's pretty much for me. Yes, I left that for fun. 2 celeries grew from one of these holes. Isn't that something? And for fun, I'm going to leave that. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with the avocado tree. See where the holes are? That avocado tree is growing in that tote with that soil that dropped way, way down. And every time I think about composting it, look how beautiful and straight it is. I had an avocado tree years ago when I was younger, grow from seed. It took years, but within the 10-year period, it started producing so many avocados. I didn't even like avocados. My girlfriend used to come over And she'd say, "Oh, my husband and I love avocados. What are you going to do with them?" I said, "Nothing." And she would pick grocery bags full, and she'd make guacamole and freeze it. And then when I had to move from the house, I lived there for 15 years. I missed the avocado tree because by then I really liked it. So anyway, so this is all, just it's kind of a simple maintenance, but this is not where I've been working. Let's go in the front yard. We're now in the front yard. I actually like it. I've got parsley going to seed. Oh, the hummingbird is back there. I don't know if you can see it. And then I've got this one to seed. Again, leaving as much as I can for as long as I can for the wildlife, because the seeds will be eaten by goldfinches, house finches, a lot of birds. And then I've got beautiful red vein sorrel growing in here I'm going to leave. And then look at all the walking onions. This can go, again, we're not eating this. There's no leaves on it anymore. That's sow thistle. But leaving it for the hummingbirds to build their nest, because this is what they use for their nest. And then other birds eat the seeds. And this is chamomile. This is one of the biggest plants I've ever grown here. Look how big it is. I just grabbed some of this at night. Oh, I picked 5, 6, 7 of them, throw it in a pot, pour boiling water over it, and it makes the greatest tea. And it's still flowering in the back. So I've been catering to that, and then I've got a geranium back there. And then I didn't know what I was going to put in this old tote that's been there forever. Threw some pieces of geranium, and look how big it's gotten. And that fell over my purple tree collard, and it's growing everywhere wild, and I'm going to leave it right now. Now look at this. Let me step out here for a minute because this is something worth seeing. I planted in that corner one tiny piece of geranium, what, 8 months ago? Stuck it in there with the aloe vera, and obviously it is very happy because it is taking over that one piece, the entire chain link. Isn't that beautiful? Now this should be groomed off. You don't have to. They will naturally fall. This is the old flowers. But you don't have to take off old flowers to make it produce new flowers. It will continue to grow. In fact, I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true, they said leave everything, even the old leaves. If you have to trim it, then you trim it. If not, you don't need to, and it will continue to bloom. If you see the ivy ones, like the shiny leaves, if you've got that, they tend to like a little bit of shade, just a little bit. So it's not full blazing sun 24 hours, though I will show you when it gets a lot. But the ones that have the fuzzy leaf, they can take full sun. So that's interesting on that. But that's what's going on here. The only thing I really want to do in the front yard is the table. And I'm getting close to that because, well, I'm not done, but I've got almost everything done where I've been working. And that will be the next thing I'm going to hit very soon. Again, that is just seedlings of parsley or celery coming up there. My finger lime. Oh, it's starting to flower. Ouch. I remember it's full of thorns. Starting to flower again. This is seeds, all brassicas, and again for the birds, so I'm leaving that. And then down on the bottom there, I've just got mint and more red vein sorrel and more walking onions. This will have to be trimmed because I cannot walk through here because you don't know what's there. Remember, we live in the hills and there could be anything underneath that I may not want to step on. So I'm going to get that trimmed again. And I'll probably, I don't know if I'll do cuttings off of all of this because there's so much, but I might do some cuttings. Now this is the one I was telling you. It's got a fuzzy leaf. This can take full sun. And that grows more like a bush. See how it grows upright? See how the stems are up? This is how this grows, just up like a bush. The other one winds, and if you touch it sometimes, like it's this one, here's where I took it from, it breaks. See how this one stays low to the ground? They'll come up, but they kind of go down. The flowers have a long, big stem, which is nice. I mean, you could actually cut these flowers and put them in a vase, and let me tell you something, they stay alive for the longest time, and they look so pretty. I've done it. Sometimes when I just want a little bit of a flower, I just trim it all the way down and it will continue to stay in the vase and it will just continue to bloom until it's completely done. But this one is a ivy and the big soft fuzzy leaves are more of a bush. This prefers full sun. This prefers a little bit of shade. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. But you know what? This one's doing fine. It's getting a lot of sun until it drops over the house. So it's not getting hot, hot sun. None of it is. Again, ivy, bush. This one's a light pink. This one's more of a purpley. So the leaf is different. See, I want to get to the table. That's the big thing I want to do here. Been working on this little by little by little because, again, not one ginger or turmeric is showing any growth at all. I think I've got stevia coming back there. This is my stevia. I may get a new stevia. But I keep chucking and I keep taking from here and pulling out more and eating it, and nothing's growing. They look beautiful, except for the one on the deck, and it's skin. I shave off a little piece of skin, and then I don't throw that out or compost it. I put it in a pot, and they grow. So that's what's growing, the skin. Go figure. Then I've got the tomatoes here. This came up last year, and I left it. It's in the ground, all right? Not in a container. It's not in this tote. There's actually nothing in that tote. So when I water everything, and I hit it with a little bit of water, I don't want the ginger and turmeric to dry out like as hard as a rock. I want a little dampness in there. It's been getting enough water, and look, it is absolutely, well, that one's no good, so let's drop that in there. But it is full of tomatoes, just packed with small tomatoes, which is perfect. That's what I want. So that's where I've been kind of working through here, but we're almost done. So that's the front yard. Now let's go where I've been working all the time. Yes, I got a compost. Look, I bring it out. It sits, it rots, but it makes the perfect compost. Here we are. And yes, I've been working. Am I done? Well, we're never done, but no, I'm not done. I still have a lot to do. My walking onions in here are just doing great. It's going to be a while till I can remove them off the plant and start planting them, and there's thousands of them, but we'll see what's going to be. Here, I'm trying to protect my squash. I've got ground squirrels that come in. Notice they won't touch the tomato plants, but sometimes they will nibble on the leaves there. And I don't want this going back there. Going to have to control that because that's where the gate slides. That's a fig leaf gourd. And then I've got one little one. I don't know if it'll make it. There was another one. It got eaten. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Then I just spotted some geraniums in there. I'm trying to keep it as open as possible to deter the squirrels. Now, this is gone. I've taken a few cuttings off. I told you I used to rave about it. Look how nice and straight they are. I'm taking the nicest, straightest ones off. I'm putting them in a bucket. I'll show you in a minute. And they're looking pretty good. You'll see how they're looking. But this is just too damaged and too gone. So this pot will eventually go. See how they busted up the tote down there? I've got one going this way that's still doing okay. But this one that's in the small pot, it's choking out. And that's okay. There's so much. Look at how much there is. I'm not worried about it. In fact, the good thing is once I top that, I'll have my view back. So if I sit here, I can look through the canyon. So that will be going fairly soon. I'm just waiting until it's, oh, well, maybe until I get to it. But I have been taking pieces off. Then I've got my lemon verbena. Nothing in this bucket that had the tomato plant last year. Tommy the tomato that did nothing. And keep that in mind. It grew. It grew into a beautiful plant. We found it. Remember, the gopher was digging it around, or the mole, and then I moved it, but it never grew tomatoes. We don't even know what it was. So that's why I want to be a little more selective on what I plant. Now, I'm trying to look. The dragon fruit, I don't see buds yet because we're just too cold, but boy, is it growing. I'm going to cut some pieces off because they're just all over the place, and I'm redirecting some of it onto this arbor that Gary put up. This is not the tunnel. This is a different arbor. And I want to continue the bird garden. Now that's what's going on here. The trough will be moved soon. This is the soil I made. This has been gorgeous. I'm planting flowers in it. I'm doing everything with soil that, could you imagine, would cost me $1,000. This thing was full. And all the leaf matter from the garden, everything went in there, and it's all broke down. It's absolutely beautiful. You can look at all the past videos I'm putting up because I've been working here. So once this is really low, or it's gotten to the point I can put it in a bucket or something, then I'm going to go ahead and move it. And what's going to happen here, if all goes well in my plans, as you can see, I am extending. Okay, everything is wet from the rain. Can you believe raining? I can extend my bird garden. So this has got a cage, so if a hawk came by, they wouldn't get any little birds. They would just take off and go into the bushes. So it works out really good. So I'm going to do more in here. I've got a bird cage, and I might sit among the dragon fruit that they can feed in. We'll see when I get here how I'm going to set it up. Might put it out in the open, might put some more water features in here. going to change a little bit around. I've been debating on moving that tote. That one is one of my very first ones. It's probably, I'm going to think it's at least 8 years old, and it's not broke, it's bent because I had a purple sprouting broccoli in there that fell over and bent it, and it is still going strong. It's just bent. But I think I'm going to use that soil. Hear that? Those are baby spice finches. I don't know if you can hear it, but if you can't, that's what they are. I can hear them. I think I'm going to move that. This will give me an area to walk through. And this is the birds eating it. They eat the tips of the greens. They sit on top and just chew away. I'm going to let them have it. It's tucked away, no big deal. They can just do what they want with it. This is the blanket flower that showed up last fall, still producing seeds. And I've been throwing the seeds places, and I should label them, and I did not. This is where I've been working. We'll walk through slowly so you can see. This is where I'm propagating a lot of plants, right on that tray there. It's not a tray. Gary found this in the trash. It's an old kennel. It was a half a kennel. So I propped that up, and I keep a bucket of water there, and I can keep watering the plants. This is my chocolate mint. There's still strawberry mint. Oh, yeah, yay. Oh, my hands smell wonderful, but boy, does that taste bad. Still there all these years. This is a Martha Washington type geranium. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to do a lot of propagating off of that. There's my polka dot plant back there. Bought that a couple years ago. Look at that. There and there. They just came back. That is just beautiful. And this is all just looking gorgeous. This brings in so many species of birds. You've got the cupia, which is the hummingbird's lunch. You've got salvia in there. You've got emu bush in there. These are the little yellow flowers. The hummingbirds, the bees, everybody feeds on them. I've got all different types. I've got those. I've got the pink ones that are growing up high. This one grows tall. That one grows like a big bush. I'm still setting up. I just put this here. I'll put something on there. This just spreads like wildfire. Oh, just love it. And you can just keep doing cuttings. I've got cuttings everywhere growing. And I just put them in there. Look at that. More cuttings of different plants. There is the forget-me-nots I took from the meadow by the ponds there. Aren't they beautiful? And I'm working on this. If you want to see me, I don't know if I want to waste your time. This is an old fountain that I put together back in 2018, and there's a video on that. The birds love it. Well, this got chewed up, so I've got to fix this. And I'm thinking of taking it apart and giving it a good scrubbing, this is hard water, is what this is. Look at that. See that? There's the color underneath. It'll never look like new. But I'm thinking of taking it apart, just sitting there scrubbing it up. You want to see me do it and put it all back together, more modern and newer? Tell me, and maybe I'll go ahead and video myself doing it, record it. So if you want, put it in the comments, say, yes, we want to see you do it. But this has just been beautiful. I hear all the babies. They want me to leave because there's been dozens and dozens of baby spice finches coming in. This I grew from seed, no flowers yet. This is a columbine. This is a cutting I just got. I don't know if it'll make it, but I literally just took a walk and picked it up. I think it's called sticky monkey bush, so we'll see. Got mandevilla down there. This is the papaya I moved. It's still alive, so we will see. And it's got an open bottom pot, so if it does grow, it can send its roots down. More geraniums. I love geraniums. Oh, I forgot what this is. This is a bush I picked up. I had it on my deck, but it was never supposed to be on the deck. It was supposed to be here. If you can see, this has been a lot of work. I get up every morning, have my coffee. There's a scrub jay. They keep coming in. And the hummingbirds and all the birds. And I work among the birds. And I have done every dog crate. I didn't plant them all up because now it gives me places to get plants, propagate, and do things. Look at this. I think you saw this 2 weeks ago. It was flowering. It continues to flower. A little dainty flower. And then I've got more cuttings. I've got milkweed everywhere. And let me tell you, the monarchs have been all over here. Oh, that fell. So some solar panel fell. I just had it sitting over there. And then here, more forget-me-nots I dragged over here. Just brought them over here recently. And then I take the cuttings from the hummingbird's lunch and continue to put them in there. Walking onions. Now this one is set up all with pots, so I can move it. If I got a plant I wanted to put in there, I can lift a pot, move it somewhere else, and put something else in there. And that's the one way I'm doing it. This is another emu bush, and this one's got red flowers. So this area I'm going to do something with because this fountain, I'm not going to move that trunk, that piece, that log, because it's falling apart already. I want to leave that, clean that up, and then put plants around it and just leave it where it is. So nothing here has been done. These pots, I'm looking at them and deciding what I want to put here. Now this dog kennel, oh, in case you're a newbie here, these dog kennels came, oh my gosh, 25 years ago, longer, from a pet store that had a grooming salon, and they redid it. And these are the kennels from the grooming salon, and they were throwing them out. My daughter called me. She worked at a pet store and said, you better get down here. They put them all on the parking lot and they want them gone. Gary went and picked them up. So that's what we've been doing with them. Over 20 years. Wow. Now this one I planted directly in, so it's different. These I can do cuttings off of, but I'm not going to move it unless I had to for some reason. So I've got 3 plants in here. I've got lavender that Gary did a cutting from. Somebody gave him some plants and cuttings, and he made that in his garden. He brought me up that one. So I planted that in there. Then I've got this one that he bought. I think he got it at Home Depot for $5. A flaming emu bush, I think it's called. And then this is another one he picked up. And I put the 3 of them in there. So that is permanent. That is not. Isn't that cool? So you can do it any way you want. And then back here. Oh boy. Okay, so we just moved this out. And I don't know if it's happy. See how it's turning yellow? Oh boy. Wonder if I should put a little cover on it. Because we're so cold and wet at night. That's a dragon fruit. So we'll see how that goes. And that's just the purple tree color. Here's my big ones. They've gotten giant. Put those in with the auger, oh, a few months ago, and they are taking off. That's a tomato plant that I moved from the other side of the yard. And I don't know if it's going to make it. It doesn't matter. It had to be moved. It's growing in the bucket. If it doesn't make it, no big deal. I'm just going to put another tomato plant or something else back there. Here, this was set up last year, but I'm kind of catering to it differently. This is potatoes, and this is purple potato. Look how nice it is. And I get quite a few purple potatoes out of that. These 2 have nothing in it. I'm just composting. So they've got holes. I throw leaves in there from whatever. If I see a leaf I don't like, take it off, throw it in there, continue to water it, and it feeds all the plants in there. Because remember, everything's got to have drainage. That I just harvested some potatoes out of there, and there wasn't enough, and I wasn't happy with them. So they're not going back at all. But I do have a whole bunch more purple potatoes. So I'm going to put it there, and it's easy to lift this way. I had them both here, but I can't lift over this. So now I moved them, and then I'll see what I'm going to do with it later, because I'm still debating if I'm going to leave this. Depends on what happens to it. It went to seed like this, and I trimmed everything down, the seed on it. And if it comes back really nice and bushy, I'll leave it. If it doesn't, I'll start cutting it out and do something else with it. And then this is the tote. 2.5 years it sat here because we had to move it one time from here when we had a plumbing issue. And I think it was on that wall. And then Gary changed stuff around. And I never moved it back. I didn't know where to put it. So it sat there for 2.5 years. I finally, the other day, got to it, moved it. It's planted up, and I can change it up, do it whatever I want. I've got a tomato plant in here. I believe this is a Travelers that I grew. Yes, it is. And then I've got an eggplant in there. I'm covering it so nothing will chew it up. I've got walking onions everywhere. I'm going to put a lot of walking onions all over. And I think it looks really cool. I was going to paint the dog kennels, but I kind of like the way the walking onions pop with the white background. And that's what I'm going to do all the way around. So I'm just so happy. 2.5 years. But that's the one thing with the garden. You work at your pace. If you find something else you want to do, work at the pace you want to work at. And then I'm just working there. And then, of course, here, I've got Zoe running around here somewhere. I've got this cleaned up, ready to go. I can put lettuce or whatever I want in here. I've got walking onions and then walking onions here. This did really good. This stopped doing good. And this was a disaster. You know what? I'll put a video up on that because it was climate. Yes, each one had its own microclimate. And you would think, how can that be? They're side by side. Oh yeah, I'll explain that in the video. And then here it's garlic, chives, more walking onions. But I'm not done here. And then here I'm going to make a tote that I'm going to compost in. So I'm not doing anything yet with that, but I'm just so excited how pretty it looks. And the birds this has brought in, and the lemon verbena has been reshaped back there with more geraniums. And look at this. This, I told you, I water these and it feeds these plants. Remember, the dog crates have holes too. And where's the hole? Right here. And what happens when you have all this plant matter that you're putting in these containers and watering and it's going out? This is what it does. It's feeding this plant. This all the leaves are just massive on this. Is this, look at the size of the leaves. This thing is 2 feet long. Look at this. The leaf itself is about 2 feet long and goodness, almost a foot wide. Look at them. Is this not beautiful? In the ground. Look at that. Because if you can't really see it, but if you can get down there and see, nope, I can't get you down there. Get you all wet. There is a hole there. The back where this has got a bump had a big hole, and Gary covered it years ago with shade cloth, and the water leaches out there, and that plant came up, and it is just using all that wonderful water that's coming through. This one's doing better. This one is interesting. Gary grafted that. That is a regular, let's see, yes, that is one of our regular dragon fruit plants that we grow, the white one inside, red on the outside. But he grafted one of my yellow ones that I grew, and he grafted it on the top, and we moved it out, and hopefully that's getting more warmth by hugging the geranium. Maybe, no, that one's got geranium too, so we'll see. This one's doing really good. And then, so anyways, that's what that one is. That's a grafted plant. So if it grows fruit from the top, it will be yellow. If it sends out side shoots and grows from the bottom, it'll be a red fruit with white on the inside, the one that we've been growing here for years. Again, they're all done. See? All done. Now this is a 4 o'clock, came up wild here. I left it in the pot. Gary's not fond of them because when they get on the ground, they spread all over the place, and he's always trying to get rid of them because they just choke out everything. But in a pot, they have tubers, they'll be fine. So I'm leaving that. And I got marigolds back here, another tomato plant, which is a Voyager, Traveler, whatever you want to call it. This is another plant, and this one is, oh, it's still in its original pot, but that's okay. It's amazing how the roots go through. Geraniums, walking onions. Here too, I do need to get this out. This is pretty much gone, but this one, let me step back, has set root, and so has that piece. If I cut it, because Gary said let's cut it, I said here's the problem. I think this plant is being anchored by that stem that's coming out, so I'm not ready to cut it, and this is a separate one. So when I get to it, and when I want to, I'll do something later. I don't need to do anything right now. I may cut this, so it gives me a bigger path. That's the only reason I may cut it. Isn't that pretty? So we'll see. I can take my time on that. That is so pretty, and the birds go in and out of all these containers, and they hide, and they come and take a bath. It's just so pretty. And then in the back, I'm going to put more tree collards back there. I'm going to spot in more of my own dragon fruit because it grows so good on the other side. I'm going to have more fountains along the top. I'll put the black irrigation tubing. You know how I use that for trellising and everything. I'm going to put more in the back because that will help to keep hawks away because they need to dive, and the way they swoop, it becomes an irritant for them. And that's why we have the gazebo, because the hawks can't get in there. They may fly in there, but they can't catch anything because they can't maneuver through like they would normally in the wild in an open sky. But this is why I'm going to cut it. Let me sit down with you for a minute. Still working on here. This will be the last section I get to. But I'm going to go work, I think, on the dog kennel before I do this. See how this is growing from the bottom? I can take those two off, and then I have a bigger path to walk through. Technically, I should take that. But it looks so pretty. And who's going through here? Me, Zoe, sometimes Gary. So I'm thinking leave it until it becomes annoying, and then I can lop it off and stick it somewhere else. See how that one's laying down back there? This is just another one of those green totes. I think I picked them up at the thrift store. When I moved there years ago for like, you used to walk in there, and they still get them for like $1.99. And I went ahead and was planting in them, and then they got moved around. But that's holding a lot of twigs and branches. So that will get moved. There's another one in the back that's got celery. A lot of the brassicas you're looking at right now are in the ground, actually. So I'll see as I get here, and then I've got my papaya. Might as well get up. This will be moved. This bird cage, I think I want to push the birds to feed down there. So I'll decide where I want to put the bird cage. but it's going to be moved. It's easier to get up in the morning, walk out the door, and just feed everybody in one spot. Plus, I can do photographs that way. Otherwise, I'm running all over. This is where Gary wants to build a tunnel, and I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure yet. I know a lot of you said yes, but I'll tell you why as I'm thinking about it, maybe in another video or something, why I may not do it here. I'm not sure. I really don't know one way or the other. So we'll see. And these are more 4 o'clocks. Look, they're going to flower, red flowers. They've been all over the ground, see there? But they'll just come in like a field. And I have to be able to see because, like I said, I want to know what's at my feet when I'm walking. I should be wearing boots. And I'm not, but I should be. Okay, and this is where I propagate back here or work on things. My old gazebo that's falling apart. At some point, I'll get a different top. I don't need a top right now. And then, of course, this is the papaya. Kind of dressed it up a little bit by adding pots and layering. It gives more moisture to the plants because the water can't evaporate up. It can only evaporate to underneath the pot. And some of them are looking pretty good and some of them are not. If any of them look like they're not going to come back, we can chop those out. It's actually something I've thought about taking out, but as long as it's still alive and still producing fruit, then I'll wait and see what happens. But this definitely, I'll have to tackle this soon. Again, all this is being left for the birds and the pollinators. So I'm waiting on that right now. And then what's here? Let's see, there's Gary's room. Oh, there's my cilantro. I grew that from seed. Oh, one of them doesn't look good. It's actually the seed top that doesn't look good. I've got to get to. I've got turmeric in here, which I'll probably move that too. See, nothing is growing. This is just bird seed coming up. This is canary seed. Got some mint in there with my purple. Oh, my poor purple plant needs to be groomed and cleaned up. See, all the dampness is just creating so much powdery mildew. Just wet every morning. Like I said, it's been raining. It just stopped while we were walking through. So here, I'll get to this later. My main thing was to get to all those dog crates and get flowers in there. And I'm still thinking of flowers. Now I could go to Home Depot or Lowe's or to a private nursery. I love private nurseries because they get in a whole lot more than the big box stores because they can bring in one plant. Or think about it, your big box stores, they can't. They can't have the grower come in and say, hey, I've got 3 of these, Angel's perfume, and would you like to buy them? Well, Home Depot and Lowe's are going to say no. You know, we've got all these stores. We need for every store, so they don't bother. But when you go to a private mom and pop nursery, hey, we got 1 plant or 3 of these. Yes, yes, we want them. And then they can price them whatever they want. But again, they don't have to think about developing SKUs for a million stores. And you know what I mean? So I love going there. But now I can go find plants and start moving things around. So here I'm going to leave this. This is chocolate mint. This is the tainted soil that had an herbicide, a persistent herbicide in there. It took 2 years almost, and now it's gone. So keep that in mind. Buy a name brand soil, and if you have any problems with some of your plants, don't think it's you. Some of the soils aren't tested, and it could be the soil. So that's it. Like a jungle. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I am so excited with this. It's just so nice to sit on the swing and be able to just sit and watch the birds come around. That's why I'm debating. Sometimes you want to sit here and see some birds. Do I want to put a bird feeder here? I actually tend to sit more down there. I'm setting that up. We even have, I didn't show you, it doesn't matter, but it's not that important. But I've got the pen set up for the emus to come out. How long we're going to keep the emus for, I don't know. That was supposed to be a nice area to sit with tables and chairs, and now it's got an emu pen. So we'll see. Isn't that pretty? I could just stand here all day and watch all the birds come in. They take baths, they forage in the flowers, they drink. And to really think that most of these plants did not cost me anything. A lot of them are cuttings. The lavender, Gary was driving by, a guy was grooming and cleaning up plants, a gardener, and he stopped. He goes, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm chopping out. There's too much of the lavender. He said, can I get some? Sure. And he gave Gary a whole bunch. And then the geraniums, they were growing all over the property here. I bought one of those purple ivy ones, and now I've got them everywhere. All the pink flowers, all free. You stick it in a pot, and they just grow. So that's why I appreciate it more. Just starting to burp because we're cloudy and drizzly. All right, so let's step outside. We're almost done. That's beautiful. See, there is fruit still. It's still hanging on. Look at that. So we'll see how this goes and I'll decide. It's a table found in the trash. All right, so let's step out the gate. There is my rosemary bottle brush. Again, another free plant. Gary found it growing out front and he dug it up years ago, brought it here. It was a tiny nothing, and look how big it is. Isn't that gorgeous? That one, the birds come, they feed in it, they hang out in it. Just beautiful. So here I still have to clean up. We're going to go through what I want, we'll keep, what I don't want. I want everything. But we'll see how it goes. We're straightening this out. The chairs, well, I've got a lot of places that the chairs are going to move into. So I want to bring another chair on my deck to make a compost bin so I can sit a tote on top and then just compost. I can go in there and get it anytime I want. I started painting that chair with some tester paint that you get over at Home Depot for 50 cents. So that's what I'm doing here. I just have to finish painting that one so it doesn't look white. I'm going to do that. Look how big all these plants got. Again, these are pomegranates that I grew from seed. Kind of overtook. I haven't shown this for all. See this cactus plant? Oh, we have spikes. Look at that. I found this. I was driving home and there was a pad and I stopped and I looked and there was no thorns on it and I picked it up. I stuck it in the ground and it has no thorns. And I brought this home. Another time I stopped, I saw one laying on the ground and my hand was full of spikes, so I left that one. So I don't do that anymore, but very few spikes on it. I love that. There's some jade plant back there. There's elephant bush back there. So I'm going to get this cleaned up pretty soon. Now, the dog kennel. I'm going to tool it, I think. You'll see this, I hope, very soon. Now that I'm done with the bird garden, this and the chair garden will be my next priority. I am going to tool this entire thing. Now you think, well, what is tool going to keep out? I'm trying to keep out ground squirrels. I'm not worried too much about rabbits. I'm not sure yet how exactly I'm going to set it up. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that chair in there, because I might move that later. This will be movable. So in the winter, I can cover it up, make a greenhouse out of it, grow some stuff. But we'll be getting into this very soon. The problem is, this is potatoes. See more purple potatoes? I guess so. And then I've got the onions going to seed. Oh, milkweed's coming up everywhere. Sunflowers are coming up. Look, here's the thing. I'm going to redo this. Haven't done that yet. It's growing strawberries already. I had a ground squirrel come up, as you can see, and chewed up my plant. Okay, now I didn't worry about it too much because it's not doing that well because of our weather. They're just not growing as vigorously as they usually grow. We grow really good in the summer here. I know how to take care of them in 100 degrees and they will continue to grow. But at 50 degrees at night, they're not happy. Well, this one started to get chewed up too. See the leaves? So I covered this one with tulle all the way around. That's why I have to control my squash if I've got a lot of ground squirrels. And the babies are hatching and they're everywhere hatching. The babies are coming out and they're everywhere. But I have a squash. Look. Can you see that? I have a big, hold on. Look at that. I got a big squash and I see another one. I'm going to have to pollinate. There's another one. Uh-oh, I might have missed it. Hopefully it got pollinated. There's a little slug there. Let's remove him. Anyways, I've got one that's, oh, there it is. Easier to see from here. That I hand pollinated. So that worked out good. But the squirrels stopped coming through. They don't like the feel of this because they have fine nails. This is my favorite thing in the garden. You really should watch the videos I've got. If I did not figure out to use tulle like this years and years ago, I would have nothing. This is no joke because this is what I would end up with. Tulle is a lifesaver in the garden for so many reasons. It gives a little bit of wind protection because when the wind blows, you've got all these tiny holes that redirects the wind so you don't have it blowing right up there through the canyon. You're protecting it from, like I said, squirrels, yet the bees can still come through the top the way I have this set up, but I don't have squirrels coming in there or rats, and that worked out fantastic. So that, I made tulle the whole thing. I just wanted to see what would happen. I threw some tulle on the back, not enough because they can come through the top. There was a big geranium here. You don't have to say, well, there's a geranium here, none there. No, I moved that geranium. There was a giant geranium just like this one. Didn't matter. Either way, they can jump and get in there, the squirrels. And that's what they want, to chew the leaves up. But they don't want to touch this. So that's what's so important. Here, I'm going to have to go through here and decide how much of what I want to plant. I'm going to get to this a little later. No hurry on my rainbow garden right now because I have so much growing. I've got all the onions going to seed that I planted. I want to collect the seeds, and in the fall, I'll be able to get a whole bunch more onions growing. I've got my purple kale growing back there. Milkweed is bringing in, geez, monarchs everywhere. Then I've got my pepinos. Gary likes pepino. I'm not real big on pepinos, but it depends on how I get this. Oh, one just came off. There we are. Anyways, I'll leave it in there right now. There's pepinos back there. I've got more on the other side. They keep growing. That's a cutting. Then I've got this. I don't know if I'll leave this in here. This is just red vein sorrel. This is a really old plant when I first planted up, up my rainbow garden. It's okay, but see how leggy it is? It's better if I do a good cutting on it and then do a lot of propagating with this, because that's what that is. The one that's growing all the fruit is last year's. Took a piece, started growing right away and producing fruit. See how I'm emptying out the buckets? They had geraniums in there. I'm putting them back, and I'll stick some more geraniums. I've got a tomato plant coming up with milkweed. Oh, look, a mustard on the ground. Oh, rabbits don't like mustard. And then this pepper is trying to make a comeback. This is the only thing in a grow bag. So we'll leave it and see what happens with it. It's just that it's protected and it gets a little shade and a lot of water. If not, it would dry out too much here in Southern California. I would have to put a drip system on, and that's something I'm not really into. My neighbor up on the hillside, he had a big drip system, and the coyotes chewed it up. Another one, the rats and the squirrels chewed up his whole drip system. But there it was coyotes. They came in one night and they chewed up the big irrigation tubing. They thought this was just so much fun to pull out of the ground and chew, so he lost his irrigation. So anyways, there's more geraniums. I propagate all year in these. I'm going to clean those up and do that. And look at this, another one. You can propagate this so easy. This is Hummingbird's lunch, more walking onions. So basically that's it. I think that's going to be the next big thing to tackle, because I don't want to be caught where all of a sudden we go from cold 50-degree weather to 115 during the day, and then it's harder to start plants. I've got a lot of seeds started. That's not a problem. Look at this. Martha Washington, a piece I broke off walking down the street one day. There was a plant growing in the street. Took a tiny piece home, and now I've got this one, and I'll show you there's more. Then my buckets. Yeah, I want to make sure I've got plants ready to go. And then my pizza garden, I did get some basil, and I'm going to plant some basil in here, and I did get some thyme. So I'm going to get some thyme in here. This is my rosemary cutting. I'm going to leave that. It's doing perfect. My sage down there. So this is doing really good. I'll just freshen up the pots, but that means going in there, it's flowering. Going in the pots, digging out some of the soil because it is draining good, and then just putting back some more leaves, a lot of leaves, because the leaves turn into soil. And leaves could be anything. It could be this. This is sow thistle. So you dig it out, you throw in your leaves, and then you plant more in it. Isn't that beautiful? So I've got a lot of cleaning to do. Things got moved. We were working on a lot of projects. But all in all, I'm really happy with it. And this is another nice place to sit under the gazebo when I clear up my table. I've been working, as you can see here. I can sit and look back. There is a bird cage under the geranium. Do you remember I set that up and used to sit here and watch the birds? Yeah. Well, the geraniums, like I said, grow really good and fast here. And within months, the thing just took over and the bird cage is under there. So I'll clear that out too. And then we'll get the dog kennel set up and we'll be good to go. But keep in mind, gardening, there's no rush unless you're having a garden party. There really is no rush. You take your time because you may decide, hey, I'm going to put a pepino in here. And then tomorrow you come out and think, no, I think I want to do tomatoes or squash or watermelon. So you can change your mind and you can change it. Let's say you plant it and you don't like it. Pull it out, start over. I can compost all that if I want, but I guess I will be composting a lot. There's way too much there. So that's the nice thing about gardening. What I do have to do is get rid of some of my mess. This is what I was going to show you. I've got a Martha Washington in that pot that's sunk. The same plant. This is the same plant. I just break off pieces, and now I've got another one here. I don't know if you can see that, see? So this I can move. This is loose. I just have to figure out where I want to put it. And then this tomato plant just came up, and I'm leaving it because it's starting to throw tomatoes. I don't know what it is. And then I've got milkweed because I have a milkweed plant. The seeds get everywhere. There was a pepper in here, and I think it took over and got rid of my pepper. I think so. So anyways, now I'm going to have milkweed and monarch butterflies and caterpillars. No eggs. I don't see any eggs, but they're just all over. And then I've got the peppers here. These wintered here, and they're not getting a lot of sun. That's the issue with this. So we'll see how this goes. And then in here, I've been slowly pulling out some of the seeds growing in there. I see a tomato plant back there. I've got watermelon. Again, it's too damp. I want to set up another one of these in a little better sunlight because the fig tree came up, say. So the fig tree now, I should say, just put out all its leaves, and it's creating way too much shade. So I can put some shade plants here. I know what I can do in there, propagate, because it will get indirect sunlight, and I'll propagate there right in the tote. I'll put containers in where the soil is and get the seeds out and move. And I'll find another area that's got a little bit more sunlight to propagate. So I hope you enjoyed this, but really look at this. If you're having an issue with rodents or something, tool makes a world of difference. You can put it up as neat as you want or do what I did. I just put the 4 stakes in and wrapped it around some metal binders. Look at this, paper clips, and it is holding it and it's doing its job. And this will be picked very soon because this thing is really, really growing. But I didn't see the other flower, and I can see that's closed already. If it didn't get pollinated, because I don't see any male flowers, hopefully I had male flowers maybe off of this, something ate it, then it will be fine. If not, I have to just be mindful because when I saw that open, this one, right away, and I knew it was tooled, and there were bees in there. I just wanted to make sure I got some pollen in there from a male flower, so it worked on that. So think about that with your issues because I'm telling you, there's almost a solution for every issue you've got, including your horrible insects you get with zucchini. You can grow squash. You can get rid of them. It would take a little work, but you can. We all have solutions, or we grow something else. But I do believe we can do that. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed this. Leave your comments. I do read them. I may not get to every single one and answer it, but you know what? Sometimes I go back way later because I go through as many as I can. And tell me if you get anything out of it, because when I do these walkthroughs on the garden tours, I'm hoping you'll see something and go, oh, maybe I want to grow pepinos, or I didn't know you can propagate them, and I didn't realize that if you grow one milkweed plant, it spreads everywhere. And yes, I can pull it out, but I'm moving them around a little bit. But this will be exciting. So let's see if I can get to that dog kennel in the next couple weeks, and hopefully we don't go from cold weather to a massive 100+ degrees. But you never know, we might. And maybe I'll even do the strawberry tower. Look at that, strawberries. And I didn't even dress it up yet, and it really needs a lot of dressing. With that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Oh, cool. Bye-bye. Oh, and the sun has finally come out, and the birds are all singing back there and taking a bath. Let's run down there and let me show you what I almost forgot to show you. Oh, my little friendly gopher snake is running around the ground. That's a good thing. So I almost forgot to show you what I was going to show you. Here are some pieces that I pulled off a week ago, and I put them in water. And this is off the tree color that's all dried up. And this is what they look like. They were all dried up. I mean, not this small, but see this? See how shriveled up they are? So if I keep dropping it in there and keeping the water clean. Okay, we don't want it all the way underwater. I'll have to get a smaller bucket for those. They'll puff up. I've done it before, and these will grow really, really nice. And that's how you can freshen it up if it's drying out. Now, I can plant those right now. I just have to get my auger out, make a great big deep hole, and stuff them in there, and they'll grow. So I got to get the rest of them out And well, it won't be all of them, but I can propagate a whole lot more. So sorry, I almost forgot about it. Was about ready to wrap up the video to get it up to you today, June 1st. And I remembered and thought, nope, I better run out. And as I ran out here, I found my wonderful little gopher snake, which is wonderful because the gopher snake in my garden will hopefully keep out the rattlesnakes because, well, they're territorial, and that's my hope. And look at the bees pollinating away, and then the birds come in. So with that, again, have a wonderful day. He's back there as I was walking through. I don't know if we can see him. No, he's slithered off somewhere, and that's okay. I love gopher snakes. So have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.